Okay, everyone, thanks for coming out tonight. The time is 6 p.m. I call to order this regular scheduled November 19th, 2024 meeting of the Oconee County Council. Let's begin with a moment of silence. Mr. David Root, would you pray for us?
Yes, sir. Pray with me if you'd like to. Dearest Father, our Creator and the Sustainer of our lives, thank you. Thank you for the breath of life that you give us. Help us not to take it for granted, but to use these lives beneficially for our neighbors, for our loved ones, and that council would be inspired by you this evening to do good work, to impact this county in a wonderfully positive way. Guide their decisions. In your name I pray. Amen.
Chief Shirley, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we have approval of the November 4th, 2024 special meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
A motion second. Any discussion, any changes? Hearing none, all in favor? And then we have county attorney comments, Mr. David Root.
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
You have none, Mr. Root. Thank you. County administrator comments, Ms. Amanda Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too have none.
You have none. Thank you, Ms. Brock. Next, we have two proclamations. We're gonna read and vote on both proclamations, and then after the second one, we'll go down to the front to present it to some representatives here from the Daughters of the American Revolution. We'll begin with Proclamation 2024-06, a proclamation recognizing National Native American Heritage Month. Whereas the history and culture of our great nation have been significantly influenced by Native American Indians and indigenous peoples, and whereas the contributions of Native Americans have enhanced the freedom, prosperity, and greatness of America today, and whereas their customs and traditions are respected and celebrated as part of a rich legacy throughout the United States, and whereas Native American Awareness Week began in 1976 and recognition was expanded by Congress and approved by President George Bush in August 1990, designating the month of November as National American Indian Heritage Month, now commonly referred to as National Native American Heritage Month. Now therefore, we the Oconee County Council do hereby proclaim November 2024 as National Native American Heritage Month and urge all citizens to celebrate the diverse and rich culture, history, and traditions of Native Americans.
So moved.
Have a motion, second, all in favor? Okay, next we have Proclamation 2024-07, a proclamation recognizing November as National Family Literacy Month. Whereas November was designated National Family Literacy Month after National Family Literacy Day was established by the 103rd Congress in 1994, and this year marks its 30th anniversary on November 1st, 2024, highlighting the importance of reading and learning for the entire family and emphasizing the impact that parents have on their child's learning. And whereas throughout November, literacy promotion is celebrated across America each year and focuses on special activities and events that showcase the importance of family literacy programs that empower families and build a nation of readers and develop informed citizens. And whereas literacy programs across the United States will observe National Family Literacy Day and National Family Literacy Month by holding readathons, book drives, workshops, and family activities at schools, libraries, and community centers to encourage literacy, and whereas as many as 1 in 6 adults struggle with reading and writing, and by learning to read, individuals can gain self-respect and confidence and strive towards goals that otherwise would not be achievable. And whereas the Lily McElhaney Bowen Chapter National Society Daughters of the American Revolution is a non-profit, non-political, volunteer women's service organization dedicated to promoting patriotism, preserving American history, and securing America's future through better education for children and adults. And whereas education being one of the cornerstones of the National Society Daughters of American Revolution is committed to increasing literacy by promoting and supporting literacy programs. Now therefore, we, the Oconee County Council, do hereby proclaim November 2024 as National Family Literacy Month.
So moved. Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Want me to take a picture with your phone?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you very much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She's got my, okay.
On three, 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Appreciate it.
Okay, next up we have public comment session. Just a reminder, you have a 5-minute period to speak. When you reach a 4-minute period, I keep track with my phone. I hold the yellow caution sign. At the 5-minute mark, I hold up the red stop sign. I would ask that you please keep topics pertinent to the county business. Ms. Jennifer?
Mr. David Crockett.
Good evening, gentlemen, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you briefly this evening about my interest in the Corinth-Shiloh Fire District Commission that hopefully will be in place fairly soon. I have sent by several channels information on my background, so I won't even bother to try to go into any of that unless somebody has a question about it. You're allowed to ask a question about my name, but that's about the only one I probably would want to entertain at this point. Let me just say that my wife and I have lived in the Corinth-Shiloh Fire District area in Hanover Hills for nearly 30 years, and we both worked actively on the campaign to promote the passage of the referendum back earlier this month. During our work with that, I came to learn quite a bit about fire departments, since my background has nothing to do with fire departments, and I would look forward to the opportunity to learn a lot more about the operation of the fire department and promote the whole concept of community involvement in something that's as important as that. Other than that, I thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I will be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Crockett.
Thank you.
William Howler.
Don't feel like the Lone Ranger.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity of being able to let you see my face. I was sending you an email. When we first moved here in 1997, we lived out in the Madison community. And it way out there, if you didn't, I'm sure you know. And I wanted to become involved after a year or two. I was retired from the practice of medicine, 10 years in the Air Force and 22 years in Fayetteville, North Carolina. My wife was born and raised in Westminster. I went to Clemson. We couldn't wait to get back up here, so we did in 1997. It took about a year to try to put in a lawn in a house we built. But then I started getting an itch that I wasn't involved, so I got involved. I became a firefighter for the Cleveland Fire Department, became a rescue squad member with ER5 in Westminster and ran rescue calls. Saw a different side of medicine than I had ever seen before, and certainly had never seen fire before. And then I volunteered in Westminster also for a while. But at that point, I got the itch to become involved, and that's why I did the fire service and did the rescue calls. Got even more interested then, became a paramedic, worked at Oconee Medical Center, and I still like to say that word because I love that hospital. Was there for 10 years, and I think I have a good feeling of fire, an even better feeling of EMS, which is a big portion of fire calls now. Let me see, where was I? Okay. I still taught EMT and paramedic classes at Greenville Tech, so I still was involved with EMS indirectly, even though I was not on the truck anymore because of physical problems. We moved to Corinth, Shiloh, and Wexford 3 years ago. First year and a half, almost 2 years, I was recovering from a surgery that went south. Finally, started feeling better about that, became involved with people in the community, became involved with Captain Kristen Berry in the formation of the tax district, and have gone door to door in my neighborhood speaking to people. And I feel that it would be a great honor for me to be able to give back again. And knowing the fire department, both from when we used to run rescue calls down here, and knowing the staff that are there now, it's a wonderful organization. I'd be more than honored to be a member of the Fire Commission and hopefully advance the care that they give and continue it. So, and I think, again, you have more information on stuff I've done since I've been here, so I won't belabor that. But I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Don Ham.
Good evening. My name is Don Ham. I think I've spoken with all of you, at least by phone, if not here tonight. And appreciate you taking the time to listen to us about the special fire district and the appointment of 5 commissioners. I've lived in Bayshore for 49 years now, so been active with that organization, the Bayshore Association. And you can see what I put on the resume. I've been active in a lot of other organizations, but more from the state, federal, and even international level. So I think it's time for me to get back involved more locally, and that's what I would really like to do with the Fire Commission. Excuse me, my throat's going. I've been involved probably for about 2 years in the efforts behind the scenes of trying to get the special district formed, and I'm very pleased that it passed. The vote passed to actually create the district, and now I would like to continue my efforts and involvement as a commissioner in the hopes that I can help further for at least a few years. So appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Helen
If
Miller.
I look like I'm limping, it's the sole of my shoes coming off.
Hey folks, thanks for a minute to speak to you all. I'm here, of course, on behalf of the Corinth-Shiloh Special District. I am a native of Oconee County, went to Seneca High School, and raised my family in Pickens County, but just the last 3 years have moved back to Oconee County. I probably bring a different perspective than the rest of the folks interested in serving on this board, which is a good thing. Number one, I'm a female. And number two, I have 26 years of wildland fire service with the U.S. Forest Service. I spent this last year as chair of the South Carolina Prescribed Fire Council on behalf of fire practitioners across the state. I'm a firm believer in the correct management of our forests leads to safe communities. I've worked through many community wildland protection plans across the state as chair of the Prescribed Fire Council, and believe that it's a partnership and that we've got to work into the future to keep our communities safe in the climate we're in with wildland fire. We see it out west, and we see a lot of wildfire here too. So I bring that passion and that perspective to the space, the respect and the honor of being part of a fire service. I understand that. It's different at a structural department than it is in a wildland space, but it's still a brotherhood, a sisterhood, an important job. So I'd be honored the opportunity to serve Oconee County and the citizens of Oconee County through this way. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Kevin Christenberry.
Oh, got to put my glasses on. Thank you for a few moments. Pull up my notes here. Good evening, County Council and Amanda Brock. I stand before you today in full support of the selection of Mr. Crockett, Mr. Ham, Mr. Howeiler, Ms. Moore, and Mr. Whalen to serve as our first 5-member commission for the Corinth-Shiloh Fire Task District. These individuals have worked tirelessly along with our volunteer fire department over the past few weeks, months, and years. They've dedicated to our community safety. Each of these highly qualified men and women bring a wealth of talent, experience, and essential skills to the table, from leadership and operational expertise to strategic vision. They have the ability to guide our fire service to new heights. Their deep commitment to our mission makes them the ideal choice to lead in this time. I respectfully urge you to support their selection, and they are exceptionally well prepared to serve our community and ensure the continued success of our fire department. Thank you.
Donnie Billingsley.
Good evening. I'm Donnie Billingsley, and I appreciate the opportunity to share my passion with you. I have lived in the Corinth-Shiloh area since 1989, so I've watched it grow from a sleepy little community into a thriving community of both residential and commercial. And I'm very enthusiastic that the special tax district has passed. We've agreed on it as members of the community, and we look forward to having the ability to move from a volunteer fire department to a combination, providing the service that's needed to all of our area residents. And I was involved in the selection of the committee members. I was ready to stand as a commissioner, and it didn't take very long for me to see while we were discussing the possible members that I was nowhere near qualified. I had the enthusiasm, I had the ideas in common with the members who are standing for the commission, but I did not have the experience nor the abilities that they do. I believe that the selection has been made of the best qualified folks to get us started. There's going to be a lot of organization, there's going to be a lot of training and learning involved, and I believe these 5 people will adequately and excellently serve to get us started as moving from one type of fire department to the other type that we are in need of now. So I appreciate your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Andrew Brown.
My name's Andrew Brown. I was going to approach this council about the Shiloh Fire Department. I'm not against the fire department, but I'm against the council allowing them to have a millage up to 25 mills. During this time of inflation and high rise of everything, you guys allowed this fire department to put a 25 mil on a residence in that area. However, I feel like the millage would be okay if it was done in increments and not give the burden of these residents the whole pie at one time. You have to realize that everybody is not living a high standard of living. Some people on fixed incomes. They bought a home during the time when they was young and able to work. Now they can't work. They have a home and they have to pay the taxes on it, and y'all want to put at least a 22%, according to the paper, upon the taxpayers in that Shiloh Carteret Fire District. Also, I feel like that you want the taxpayers to pay all these guys benefits, plus give them those high salaries, $75,000 a year. It's $6,250 a month. At 85 is $7,083 a month. I feel like that's a little outrageous for someone to be paid that kind of money upon these certain times that we're living in. And I hope you'll take this into consideration, that the whole community is involved, not just a group of people in that community. So please be considerate when you think about this and push back on this amount of money. Why don't you go with, 5 meals or something like that at a time till they get up to par? We can't pay these people's salaries, pay the insurance. It says everything. We pay everything, even their payroll taxes. That's absurd. Who pays your taxes? You pay them or the county pay them? Who pays mine? County don't pay mine. I work every day. I'm 75 years old. I try to maintain a comfortable living by working, but I have to work. And on top of that, what I make, I have to pay taxes on, believe it or not. I can't give my receipt to the county and say, here, pay these for me. Payday. Thank you for your time.
Sure. Thank you.
Jason Boyle.
Thank you all. It's good to be back. I hope you guys are excited to see me as I am to see you. Today I want to talk about the culture of corruption in Oconee County. And I think that it's great to start with a little bit of history there. Oconee County has a mixed history. It has a lot of glory and it has a lot of detriments. And I believe we're all very comfortable talking about the glory of Oconee County. But that is not what's going to earn us the freedom in the future. We have to address the past and the catastrophe of the past. This place has a long history of getting rid of unwanted people, predominantly minorities, but it's a practice skill in Oconee County. You guys, not you personally, this county as a whole knows how to get rid of people it doesn't want. And it decided it didn't want my wife. And the corruption that unfolds is telling, because people are so brave in their corruption. They're not even trying to hide from their corruption. Keith Denny recently just tried to incriminate my wife again, saying that she threatened to shoot the process server. If you knew my wife, you'd know how hilarious of an accusation that is. And not only that, he made the accusation to the court, not the police. If it was a true accusation, they've been looking for ways. They've been trying to put my wife in jail for a long time now. If she really threatened to shoot the process server, they would do it. But Keith Denny feels so comfortable that this county is so corrupt, he feels comfortable saying that in open court. Look at my protest I did for Ashley and Marcia outside the probate court. Judge Singleton wanted to hold them in contempt of court. That is a criminal. He is saying these women are criminals. Yet, I run a one-man protest outside the court. The hearing is never heard, and all charges are dismissed. That stinks of corruption. If it wasn't corruption, me standing outside would not have dismissed those charges. I mean, this goes back to 2020. Unfortunately, the Oconee County Sheriff's Department has some massive corruption. In 2020, Jared Adam Pierce, a known criminal in the land, has a criminal record, chased my wife around the yard, called her the N-word, threatened to bury her in the woods where no one would find her. Oconee County Sheriff's Department was called, and they won't produce a police report. Sandra Pierce wrote an affidavit contesting that everything my wife has said that she's knowledgeable of is true and factual. That's a damning affidavit. That affidavit should be read by everyone, because Sandra Pierce is really laying out the criminal nature of Richard Hunt McDuff and Jared Adam Pierce. Yet, when that affidavit was submitted, Judge Singleton and McDuff decided that she forged the signature. First of all, I got that signature from Sandra Pierce, and I was there with the notary, Angela. They hauled them all into court. Sandra testified. They never called Sandra, by the way, and said, hey, did you sign this? That would have been the easy thing to do. No, they had an emergency court hearing. They had a possibility of sticking my wife in jail again, and they got warmed up, didn't they? Called her in and said, did you sign this? She says no. They put Sandra Pierce on. They said, did you sign this? Sandra Pierce says, yes, I signed it. Then they even went to the extent of calling the notary, this very polite, kind woman up on the stand, had the notary, after she said she signed her own signature. That's my signature. They said, you're still lying. Dorothy Pierce forged that signature. And they made her sign her name like 8 times in front of the court, like as if there was a signature expert even present. They were doing anything they could to criminalize Dorothy Pierce. Anything they could. When that trial ended, Richard Hunt McDuff went and reported Dorothy Pierce to the Oconee County Sheriff's Department as a criminal, to Jordy Jameson. I think he's friends with Jordy Jameson because that seems to be his go-to officer when he wants to make a fake police report. Thank you, sir. That report that McDuff handed to the Oconee County Sheriff's Department were lies, fabricated crimes. The court documents clearly show Dorothy Pierce did not forge that signature. Yet, the Oconee County Sheriff's Department takes the report and doesn't hold Richard Hunt McDuff accountable for his lies to the police, which are criminal. Criminal. When Keith Denny lies to the court, that's criminal. When Richard Hunt McDuff lies to the police, that's criminal. But the corruption is so entrenched that everyone feels so comfortable doing it because it's the history of the land. And we could set precedent here. You could make Oconee County the kind of place that the world looks to when they say, what happens when corruption gets so bad in your town that it seems so overwhelming nothing can be done? And you could say, well, Oconee County did it, but not by hiding from our past. The racist history of our past, the extermination of the Native Americans should be part of Native American Month, right? So let's get this done together, please. I look forward to working with you all. I know it's tense right now, but it doesn't have to be. Let's just start making progress and the tension will go away. Thank you.
Since I skipped someone, Mr. Kevin Whalen? Whalen? I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, my name is Kevin Whalen. I'm a citizen of Oconee County. Have been for 4 years. It took me a while to get here, but I finally did the right thing. The reason I stand is to offer myself in consideration for the tax commission that you may be approving by ordinance for Corinth Shiloh Special Purpose Fire District. But first, I want to offer my thanks to you all for the job you've done to get the measure before us, my neighbors and I, for us to make our decision. Your actions are fantastic. They demonstrate high dedication to the purpose that we elected you for and the superb leadership that we've come to expect. And so I thank you for giving us the opportunity to express ourselves. Regarding my interest in the commission, I've already shared with each of you a bit of my background and qualifications. So all I'm going to do is just add this one statement. I'm likely, as opposed to blindly agreeing to taxes as anybody else in this room. I've been voting that way since the very first time I got to vote. And like most of you in this area, I'm typically a no new taxes guy. But as much as I've always opposed taxes, like on a national level, I've always had the personal conviction that taxes make sense when three conditions are met. The first, that there is a defined, meaningful purpose. Second, that the taxes are enacted locally by the people most affected by them. And third, that there's solid accountability once they're enacted. So through your leadership, you've provided and met the first two conditions, and I thank you for that. When I was going into the polls to vote yes for the tax district, it occurred to me that I too, like you, ought to be willing to stand up and offer my ability on the third condition, the accountability. And so that's why I'm here. You have my business background, and I think I've got that capability to help. So my neighbors and I voted to raise the taxes with the expectation that our resources would be used to improve fire protection and emergency services in our area. If you choose to appoint me, I can commit to you and to the people in my area that I'll extend every reasonable effort to effectively use the resources that we've chosen to commit to this. So I ask for that approval. And finally, I offer my strongest endorsement for the people, the other four applicants that have come before you tonight that Chief Christenberry has sent you the information on. I've met and had a great opportunity to speak with each one of them individually. They're knowledgeable, they're committed to our community, they're well qualified to join this effort as well. So thank you for your consideration, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Susie Cornelius.
Well, I'm Susie Cornelius. I live in Walhalla, and I apologize for missing your special meeting in sewer this week. Didn't see it, didn't know about it. I'm here to talk to you about sewer, just briefly. And just suggest to you that when you've got an issue that is as contentious as this has been for over 20 years, it'd be best for the general public to allow it to come forward in regular meetings for you. I just mentioned first for background, we all know that the roads crossing I-85 at exit 1, 3, and 4 don't go anywhere. They did into Lake Hartwell, so those roads don't have the heavy or heavier, even business type traffic that you would have in a lot of roads that have exits there. First, on the exit 4 crosses the Anderson County line. There was at one time a map that showed the proposed Oconee sewer actually going to Anderson County. Talked to one of the Anderson County council members then and asked what their thoughts were on that, and they said Oconee County can build as much sewer in Anderson as they want to. We'll be glad to issue the permit. I said, is there any thought about paying for part of it? And they said, no. Now, that's some time back. You're still proposing putting a line at least to Anderson County, if not actually in Anderson County. So another lawsuit has come up, something to the effect of whether the sewer, the proposed sewer benefits, particularly the people of Oconee County. We would hope that it would. But if it benefits part of Anderson, we are paying for Anderson's ad valorem tax base to expand, as well as their sales tax receipts. In other words, there would be no for that. I appreciate the fact that Blue Ridge has offered their tax money to help build development out there toward this. That's good. But nobody has come up with a particular idea yet for what is going to happen out there. There's a lot of property available. There's good access to Clemson, but what's the idea? And that's exit 4. On exit number 1, I sat in a meeting held by Oconee County, and this was out in Westminster, where a civil engineer said that it would take 5 pump stations to move sewage from exit 1 to the Seneca plant. And that's because it's all uphill. There's a pump station you proposed right there somewhere right now, but there's that much height in the geography there. And he was explaining the tremendous expense that it would take to operate those 5 pump stations. We would still have the equivalent of that. But most importantly, he said there was nothing proposed to put enough water in the line to move the sewage forward. In other words, would the county be looking at pumping Lake Hartwell water into the sewer line just to keep it going? They didn't have anything to keep it going out there. Exit number 3, I want the people in the south end of the county to have access to county services. They've asked for it for a good long time, or I've heard them ask for it anyway. They would need to be good if they could have a place to pay their taxes, maybe register to vote. A lot of things are online now. I don't see why the county, if they've got a piece of property, couldn't put a mobile office out there with a septic tank until y'all got sewer to the point where it was reasonable to come back and charge us for sewer out there. Now, I'd like somebody to explain what's happened or is happening to the millions of COVID dollars that went to the sewer commission. And I don't read anything, and I haven't tried to harass anybody for that answer. I don't know how much the bond interest is going to be. This is in addition to the construction, and nobody seems to have come up with any idea about actually who's going to use this sewer enough to make it worthwhile putting it in. So this is after you made the resolution last week. I guess it's to go forward with some things, but there's a whole lot of homework county has not done on sewer at the south end. Now, somebody mentioned, it was quoted somewhere about bringing up Highway 11 north. There are a couple of things there that I would like to think that all of you are aware of. I'm going to come back and see you another time, talk to you about Highway 11 north. Thank you.
Elspeth Murday.
Howdy, I'm Elspeth Murday, and we just had what was probably the most momentous election of my lifetime. And I walked out of there with some questions because I had recalled some county council meetings. So I just wanted to find out what was going on and get this on the record. Hopefully these are easy yes or no questions that y'all can just answer off the top of your head.
Ms. Murday, just real quick, I didn't state beforehand, but we don't answer out and back, so if you could just
Sure.
state it, then
I'll
we
just
can answer
listen.
the council member.
All right.
Thank you.
So I seem to recall hearing at previous county council meetings that we flunked some kind of election integrity and security audit. I want to know if that is accurate, just the specifics of that so I can, what organization did it, what happened. I seem to recall that we need to build new facilities to remedy it. I wanted to know if that was accurate. If we need new facilities, I wanted to know if funding has been allocated for that project and if there is a plan and concrete timeline to build those facilities before the next primary election. Because I really didn't like walking out of that voting booth thinking, we haven't ever had a problem with that and things are okay now, but it's just really concerning because your vote is the most powerful thing you have in the United States of America. And you want to know that it counts and that they get it right. So those are my concerns, and I just wanted to know what was actually going on with that, and just try and keep up with that. Appreciate it.
That's all for this evening.
That's all. Thank you, Ms. Jennifer. Next, we have a council member comment session. Ms. Brock, can you answer Ms. Elspeth's questions? This came up as a former candidate yourself, you know, people sometimes twist things to try to gain leverage in an election. But can you answer these questions for her?
I'll do the best that I can, and Ms. L. Smith, if I miss one of the questions, please feel free to reiterate. I wrote them down as quickly as I could while you were speaking, and for your benefit and the public's. So the failed audit is a rumor. It was an assessment that is done. It is done by the Department of Homeland Security. It is a required assessment that is completed once every 6 or 8 years at the discretion of Homeland Security. We were given an excellent rating. While there were opportunities for improvements, none of them were considered failures, and an overall excellent was given to the facility and primarily to staff for their excellence in service and training. The new facility was proposed, I believe, 3 years ago. It was not funded in the budget allocation. It is not funded now. There is no plan for it, and there is no timeline for such. I hate to ask for a back and forth, but when you said that when you left the voting booth, did you vote here for early voting?
Not here for early voting.
So even if there was a secondary facility built, it would simply be to serve early voting in the 30-day period prior to a general election. This facility here, known as the Pine Street Administrative Complex, is the absentee and early voting precinct. We managed to handle in upwards of 2,000 people per day at this facility in this very room, and had one documented incident that I'm aware of. I didn't have any other incidences in writing. Voter rights and voter integrity is a primary priority of both county councils sitting, past, and assuming future. And you're dead at it when that is our largest freedom and liberty. If there's any issue that you had that you would like to discuss at another time, please feel free to reach out to me at any time.
No, that was it. Thank you for the
Yes,
clarification.
ma'am.
That's really reassuring.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Hearing none, we're gonna move forward. The next agenda item is gonna be discussion regarding action items. We have a follow-up discussion by council regarding county council member salaries. Mr. Elliott, would you like to lead that?
Sure. Mr. White, did you able to get the information together?
Yes, sir, I sure did, Mr. Elliott, thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of council, Mr. Elliott's request was for us to determine council salaries based on an equivalent budget. There are very few equivalent budgets because it's difficult to track down special tax districts or sewer tax districts or fire tax districts. So I did the search in 2 different formats. One was by population size plus what we estimated our visitors to be, and one was based on as close to general fund budget as possible. Now, those numbers sometimes would be in a $3 million range to general fund or a $7 million range in what we could find for total funds. Again, there are several counties and districts that had special tax districts or exempt districts because they had their own TIF districts. So some of them were very hard to find exact comparables. At the low range, Oconee's at the low range, even for small counties with much lower budgets. Our $8,000 per year council allocation is on the low end. Our neighboring county, Anderson, even though their budget is significantly different than ours, they come in at $8,930. Pickens, even though they're our next door neighbor, has the same as we do, different types of funding, but Pickens does come in about $13,500 for general council members and an excess of $16,000 differential for chairman. I went ahead and tried to find dollar for dollar, not people for people. Dorchester was the closest I could find for dollar. Their minimum starting salary is $20,000 per annual, and they get a percentage increase for years of service. Aiken came in pretty close with us, dollar for dollar, exempting out emergency services, capital, and special funds. It was within $4,800,000, and they're at $16,800. And just to go to see what the comparables would be in the larger highest funded counties, Richland, Greenville, Charleston, and Horry, ranges anywhere from $16,000, which is Horry County. Now, Horry does allow for council expenses and council training allocation, so each council member is allowed up to $4,000 in expenses, and then each council member votes on their own training budgets. So those are not direct funds to council members, but there are stipend funds included in those. And on the high end was Richland County at $25,600 for council member, with a 10% increase for chairmanship, and those do get percentage increase for tenure as well. I searched the South Carolina Association of Counties website and the South Carolina managers, county managers and association managers. I could not find anywhere that had term limits. That doesn't mean they don't exist, but it may not be reportable in any form that I could find.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll leave it up to you. I am not running again, so it doesn't matter to me. I was doing it for you guys, so it's up to you guys what you want to do.
I don't have any interest in it. Thank you for the information there.
Absolutely.
Next, we have procurement for number ITV 24-02, shoreline stabilization for High Falls and South Cove County Parks. This is from the PRT department for an amount of $135,000 with a 10% contingency of $13,500 for a total of $148,500. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2024-2025 budget process. Budget $148,500. Project cost $148,500. Balance $0. Funding is from Habitat Enhancement Program, HEP grant, $45,232, and PRT Capital Projects Fund, $103,268. It is staff's recommendation that council approve the award of ITB 24-02 shoreline stabilization at High Falls and South Cove County Park to the Belk Company LLC of Anderson, South Carolina, in the amount of $135,000, plus a 10% contingency in the amount of $13,500 for a total award of $148,500. And to authorize the county administrator to execute documents for this project and sign any change orders within the contingency amount.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Chairman, I've got a couple of questions. Are we seeing this erosion here? Is this routine erosion, or is this a result of the increase of the wave boats on the lake? Or is it due to lack of riprap where we need it?
Some of the areas already have some riprap, but we've seen a lot of excess deterioration with the increase of the wake boats. This project addresses our 5 critical areas around the park that's really undercutting. These locations, we're losing linear feet a year at those spots. And it's going to impact our shelters and some of our recreation areas really soon if we don't get on it. The South Cove area is right on the main channel of the lake. It gets a ton of traffic. There is no riprap on that particular section, and it has really started to undercut as the waves have gotten bigger. We do have some normal routine stuff that we can manage ourselves, but this is a need to address it with riprap, and part of it is going back with a living shoreline with plants and habitat, which was the grant that we received for that. It's about 300 plants to help mitigate some of that High Falls area. But it's about 1,250 linear feet of shoreline. It'll be about 550 to 600 tons of rock, and then those 300 plants that will embed and build throughout the process. To answer your question, it's a combination of all that. I can't pinpoint it to exactly to the bigger waves, but it has increased rapidly lately.
Well, you see folks complaining about the wake boats and tearing the docks up and not adhering to the no wake zones. I just had a question about it. And possibly, maybe later on, if it continues to be a problem, the county may need to look at an assessment against wake boats to help pay for some of this. if it continues to be a problem of erosion.
Yes, sir.
This grant, 45,000, the rest of it's gonna be paid by the county?
It's through our capital millage fund, yes, sir.
When you add that up, it's like you say, you got 1,250 feet. And it's costing almost 150,000. You know what that works out to a foot?
That's a lot.
About, $110 a foot. Is there any way that we could get the rock quarry and the road department involved in this?
The challenge with these locations is they're barged. We can't get equipment down to that without tearing our parks up. So a lot of that cost is barging the rock, getting it hauled. We prefer the county rock in the process. We'll connect Mr. Belk with the quarry. He's the same gentleman who did the shoreline at Seneca Creek and utilized our quarry, but we didn't require it. But we'll connect them two together and utilize that and save where we can.
Any other comments, questions? All right, here none, all in favor? Next, we have a printing and mailing all type tax notices for the assessor's department, assessor, auditor, delinquent tax, and treasurer offices. The amounts not to exceed approved ordinance 2024-01 budget amounts. Procurement anticipated to be approved by council in fiscal year 2024-2025 budget process. Budget $179,920. Project cost $179,920. Balance is $0. Note, the total budget for this service comes from the assessor, auditor, delinquent tax, and treasurer's operational and postage approved budget amounts. It is staff's recommendation that council, one, approve the award of printing and mailing of all top tax notices to Laser Print Plus LLC, aka Laser Print Plus Wyoming LLC, DBA Doxium of Columbia, South Carolina, in an amount not to exceed the approved 2024-01 budget for 1 year, with an option to renew for 4 additional one-year periods. Authorize the county administrator to execute documents and renew the award for up to 4 one-year periods, provided their work is satisfactory and the amount does not exceed the future year's approved budgets for this expenditure.
Make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Hart.
I'll second it.
Second, Mr. Miles. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Brock, is any county, do you know, actually emailing or people paying online and receiving their tax notices online versus paper?
We have copies of tax notices, Mr. Elliott, that you can receive online, but we do mail out tax notices. We have a significant number of ATIs in the county too, where both parties receive the notice in the first transition year. There's been the availability to pay online, but we do not choose digital option only.
Does state law dictate that you mail them or anything?
I don't know that I can answer that. That would be an auditor question.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Reed, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. Yes, it's ensuring you have the right address for the owner at the December 31st on the prior year, so can go with email.
Any other questions or discussion?
I do have a question. I noticed in here, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Brock, is the county of Greenville County using this service?
Yes, sir.
Have we had any feedback from them of reliability or?
So this came as a recommendation from the county assessor, auditor, delinquent tax, and treasurer. I think it's a more streamlined process, and I believe that all of them had checked in with Greenville County to make sure that this is what they wanted before they requested permission. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So no more comments, and we'll vote. All in favor? Next, we have vehicle outfitting. This is for vehicle maintenance and sheriff's office for the amount of $89,283.11. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2024-25 budget process. Budget $89,283.11. Project cost $89,283.11 with a balance of $0. It is staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase upfitting equipment to Dana Safety Supply Incorporated of Greensboro, North Carolina, in the amount of $89,283.11 per state contract number 440002538.
So moved.
A motion? Second. Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is fine.
We have 2024 Ford F-150 for the Emergency Services Department. The amount is $51,598. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2024-2025 budget process. Budget is $51,598. Project cost is $51,598 with a $0 balance. Funding is from the Emergency Services Capital Equipment and 335 Vehicle Fund. It is staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase of a 2024 Ford F-150 from Santee Automotive of Manning, South Carolina, in the amount of $51,598.
So moved. Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is fine.
All right, need a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.